Hey y'all, welcome to Wild Blue. Got another week of news here. Not so much going on this week, but we'll get on into it. So first thing I got here is this article talking about some amazing astrological events coming up. Yep, see what we got here is a rare planetary parade. You know, I know one of these came through about 8 months ago, and we got another one coming up again. Got 5 planets lining up in a row. You got Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Mars are all going to be lined up there in the sky. Mark your calendars because this is going to be occurring here in just a few days on March 28th. Check it out. It's around sunset. You'll be able to see them all lined up in there, up in the sky. Next up, we got some stories of Bigfoot taking place in New York State. Yeah, people have been seeing these sightings up in New York. Apparently, he's on the move. Looks like Whitehall, New York has gone and named Bigfoot as their official animal. Got the wild man of New York spotted multiple times. Now you got this thing called the Kinderhook monster. Got a book just come out by this guy, Bruce Hallenbeck, and his experience with this creature. Describes it as an ape-like creature with reddish-brown fur, which is basically a description of your traditional Sasquatch. And basically he said this thing's moving south from where it has been seen in the past. But you know, it's real hard to know for sure if it's actually a Squatch moving around or if there's just so many Squatches out there hiding just out of sight that anytime you do see one, it may appear they're moving in some certain direction, but in actuality they were already there to begin with, and they're just spread out and just kind of in their own little areas, and you just see them every once in a while. Could draw some conclusions from something that makes you think they're moving, but they're actually not. So next up, we got Starlink satellites muddling UFO sighting statistics, something researchers are saying. And I can see that, people see these satellites all lined up in a row, and if you don't know what Starlink is, it's going to look pretty strange up there, seeing all these lights just moving through the sky. No sound or anything coming from them. They look like stars, but they're actually satellites. This whole network of satellites provide an internet to people, and they're being mistaken for UFOs. In actuality, I suppose they are UFOs for the people who don't know what they are, but there ain't nothing too strange about it. It's not anything extraterrestrial or out of this world. Something came from right here. Next up, we got our first video here. Now this one takes place in Chicago. Happened this month, and we see these lights over the city. You don't see them over the city too much. Let's see what we got here. Appears to be a blue light, bluish white light, just slowly moving across the sky. People seem to think this is pretty strange and that they're filming it. Now it's just split into two. Now that is definitely a hallmark of a UFO sighting if I haven't seen one. Very strange. Usually these slow moving ones I'm not too convinced with. This one actually looks pretty convincing because it's not something that you'd normally see a traditional or conventional aircraft do. You also don't see the same colored lights you would see on the wingtips. It's all just one single blob of light, and that's usually how these light blobs of UFOs are described, as just being a blob. There's no distinction to what makes up the craft. Not hearing any sound with it either. So yeah, this one's pretty interesting. Next up, we got this UFO sighting here in Russia, taken out of the window of another aircraft. Now this one looks pretty cool too. Take a look at this. Some sort of gray disc-shaped object reflecting light off of it, very metallic looking, slowly moving alongside the plane, just barely inching ahead of it. Very strange looking, reminiscent of the original 1947 sighting. It kind of kicked off the whole UFO craze. Only difference is it don't got the crescent shape to it. It's a disc shape, so your traditional flying saucer. Next up, we got a Sasquatch sighting. It's filmed by some kids in a forest. I don't have any details on where this one took place, who filmed it, or when it happened, but we'll take a look at it and see if there is anything to it. First off, we see some very large looking tracks here. And then we see this figure standing in the forest. Apparently these kids have gone up to the edge of the forest, and now they're watching what appears to be a Squatch. Then they take off running, and that's it. Next up, we got a video entitled "The Largest Sasquatch Footprint Ever." Now look how big it is to this guy's foot here.
Compared to my foot. Huge. Found just the one print though, guys.
Now you can't really make out any ridges on it. No evidence of any sort of, signs of basically an actual footprint that matches up with the dermal ridges and all that. Got a bit of a toe outline on the top there, and it's hard to tell exactly what sort of environment this is in. It almost looks like some broken ground on some concrete. Well, what would a Bigfoot be doing walking on the concrete? That would make no sense. Now you'd see these guys out in the forest, so it could be some sort of soft sand-like ground. I'm seeing some sand and gravel mixture of some kind underneath whatever this upper surface is. But apparently this upper surface ain't heavy enough for this guy to bust through it, so it's hard to tell for sure what's actually going on here. Next up, we got this spooky ghost child sighting in someone's house. Now, this one, I saw the preview for it, looks pretty strange. Let's take a look. Now, I don't know if this guy heard something going on, but then you look, he sees a face looking at him there. But then he walks over and there's no one there. Now it looked like a very realistic looking child. Didn't look like something that would be, see-through like you might expect a ghost to be. So either it's a fully formed apparition or it's something fake. Now this could be pretty easily faked if you look at it. There's some potential splicing in there. Maybe somewhere where the kid could hide back behind. Happened pretty quick where he walks up and sees there's no child there, but it definitely is a possibility that that could be faked. The fear in his voice did sound a little bit forced too, so you got that as well. Alright, we got another ghost sighting here. This one, I'm not too convinced on it. We'll get on into it. Got someone sleeping here on the ground. CCTV camera watching him there, just kind of laying in this towel or whatever. See this lantern floating there, going up and down. Just the way this is set up looks pretty fake. Why is there a camera pointing at this little alleyway where this person's sleeping? And you got this person crawling up on their hands and knees. This looks like something out of a horror movie, which makes me think it ain't real. Real life ain't like the movies. He's continuing to crawl along here. Let's skip through the video. Moving real slow. The sleeper wakes up here. All strange activity has seemed to have ceased by this point. Looking around, maybe he had heard something which caused him to wake up. Move a bit further along. Looks like he's laid back down. I saw the lantern moving again there. The thing is, it's just moving up and down, so makes me think that this lantern is just being held or suspended through a fishing line or some very light string that you can't actually see on the camera. Old school technical effects for something like this. Oh, I think we got our crawler now. He's walking. Maybe he just had a rough night. Maybe he had too much of something and it ain't mixing well with his system. Got multiple things moving there. The bench now and pulled to the side, the lantern going up. You even see it spinning there. I ain't convinced on this. This looks phony as all get out. Skip to the end here. We're getting near the end. Look, here's our scream guy coming back. And definitely a person in a mask. Our sleeper's there wrapped up in his blanket now. Apparently he's being attacked by this invisible creature, or so they want us to believe that, but this is some of the fakest stuff I've ever seen, if I do say so. Guess he's done sleeping there. He's got his flashlight when there's a bright light shining right up above, so yeah, I'm convinced with that one. Alright, so we're gonna wrap it up for this video. If y'all like and subscribe, and we'll get y'all some more interesting stories and sightings that are going on. If y'all have any sightings you want to share, send them to wildbluetvstories@gmail.com. Check out our website and check out our Facebook page. With that said, Wild Blue out.